Hello everyone, my name is Naresh. I teach biology for high school students. I taught for CBSE board students. I also taught for state board students. Today I am going to explain you something about the cell. What is a cell and how many types of cells we have. Cell is a basic unit of our life. Cell is a basic unit of our life. Like how our house is made up of small bricks, in the same way our body is made up of small tiny cells which we cannot see with our naked eyes. So now the cells we also call them as basic unit of our life, and we also call them as structural and functional units of our life. Structural and functional unit of our life. Why do we call them as the structural and functional units of our life? Because they make our body, that's why they are structural, and they do all the functions like respiration, digestion, excretion, all other processes, life processes inside our body. Suppose if you are taking nutrients or food which contains the food components, that can be processed further, broken down, and it gives energy. Where it takes place inside the cell. Even though you are taking through your mouth and going to the stomach and digestive tract, but all that food will be transported in the simple form to the cells where it can be broken down and we get energy in the that's why cells are functional units of our life, and also they are structural units of our life. Now let us see how many types of cells we have. Generally, cells are categorized into two types. They are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. The first one is prokaryotic cell, and the second one is eukaryotic cell. And what is meant by prokaryotic cell and what is eukaryotic cell? The prokaryotic cell containing organisms, they do not have any kind of nuclear membrane surrounding their genetic material, but whereas eukaryotic cells, they have well defined nucleus, and the genetic material or DNA is covered by the nuclear membrane. Now let us see how do they look and what are the examples. So prokaryotics, if you see, examples are bacteria and cyanobacteria, and eukaryotic cells, if you see, protozoans like amoeba, paramecium, and algae, fungi, plants, and animals. So the examples for the prokaryotic cells are bacteria, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, and protozoan. For eukaryotics, protozoans like amoeba, paramecium, algae, fungi, plants, and animals. All the algae are not, multicellular. I will tell you later about this. Now, let us see how the prokaryotic cell looks like structurally. The prokaryotic cells, they contain the genetic material or spherical shape genetic material or DNA. DNA full form is nothing but deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA full form is nothing but ribonucleic acid. Now this DNA is freely fallen in the inside the cell. So inside the cytoplasm, it is freely fallen. It is not enclosed by any kind of structures. Whereas In eukaryotic cells, the genetic material or DNA is enclosed or covered by a membrane called nuclear membrane. We call it as a nuclear membrane. So if the DNA is present inside the nuclear membrane and it is having a true nucleus like this, we call it as a eukaryotic cell. U is nothing but true or well. Pro is nothing but, pro means before, means first time they look like. So now carrion means nucleic, so acid or nuclear. So we also call it as a nut. Okay, it is derived from the Greek word. Now let us see what is the DNA, how it is looking like here, how it is looking like. DNA is freely fallen, it is not covered by any kind of nuclear membrane, but whereas here DNA is covered by the nuclear membrane. That is the main difference between prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Examples are bacteria and cyanobacteria, and here examples are plants, animals, amoeba, paramecium, different fungi and algae, other cells. Now shall I, okay, is it clear for you all? Now let us move on to our next topic. Based on the number of cells, how the organisms are categorized, how the organisms are divided. So we mainly divided organisms as unicellular and multicellular organisms. We divided organisms into, living things into unicellular and multicellular organisms. The unicellular organisms, they contain a single cell. Okay, so they are like examples, amoeba. Okay, it is not having a irregular shape, amoeba, where a single cell will do all the functions like taking of nutrients and then breaking them down into simple forms and then converting into the energy and then sending out. All the life processes will take place by single cell. So examples are amoeba, paramecium and all other bacteria, single cell organisms. Okay, unicellular organisms, they also comes around bacteria also comes to this, because no matter whether prokaryotes or eukaryotes, they have a single cell. A single cell only will do all the functions. Now let us see multicellular organisms. Like examples, if you take plants, animals, okay, fungi, algae. So they all contain multiple cells, more than one cell they contain, all multiple cells will do multiple functions. Suppose if amoeba has to take the food, only single cell will break them down and then convert into energy. But if we want to break down the food and convert into energy, or the food has to be broken down, the complex nature of the food that we are eating every day, like whatever the, so rotis, dal or chapati, idli, whatever you are taking, that all should be broken down and utilized further into the converted into energy by multiple cells. So for all these life processes, multiple cells are involved here. That's why we are calling them as multicellular organisms. Now these multicellular organisms will do all the life processes of life activities in us. Okay, like that. So cell is a basic and unit of our life, structural and functional unit of our life, and the cell is of two types mainly, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Then based on the number of cells present in our body, all the organisms are divided into unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. I hope you all understood this topic.